Welcome to Ascend to Earth, a podcast for seekers, visionaries, and changemakers, bridging the spiritual and the earthly. Hosted by Virginia Underwood and Hannah Pearl, we explore deep healing, conscious living, and embodied wisdom, helping you rise into your highest self while staying rooted in purpose. Welcome back to Ascend to Earth and a new Gregorian year.
Oh boy.
We're in the middle of winter, except I know for me, living in the desert Southwest for many, many years, what we're experiencing in the Midwest right now is more like a Arizona winter.
Yeah, it's pretty mild.
It's
That
pretty
might be
weird.
might be why I'm feeling good because it's not cold.
Yeah, it's sunny. I took a beautiful walk yesterday,
Yeah, it's
and it
more like
was,
fall weather.
or spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine, I was talking to him yesterday, and he was like, this might be our first, he's like, either this is our ninth false fall or our first false spring.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And
Yes, it's weird, but also nice. And I also feel I do feel the energetic shift into winter though. Like the going inwards and like all the energy being at the roots, fortifying things and kind of making structure or plans for certain things, without that feeling like I need to pursue them just yet, but like kind of
move, creating
reviewing,
containers.
creating containers, reviewing what worked and what didn't work, and almost like getting a strategy together, feels like.
Yeah, I feel that. Good old Capricorn energy.
Mm-hmm.
How do we climb this mountain?
Yeah, well, let's look at a map, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's the funny thing about making a plan too, is that it's not really, you can't get too attached to the plan, because that's not, nature always has room for all kinds of stuff to happen. There's a bunch of
Hmm.
space, so you just have to like open up the space and yeah, not be like also honor that the cycles too, I think in planning. Like knowing, okay, like this is spring, this is what I feel, this is the projects. And I actually don't even really like planning the whole year. Just like the next part that's coming up, like going into the spring and the projects that I want to put out there.
And I've done both. Like when I was younger, I was very in the masculine energy of creating the structures. And I love systems, so I like to create structures. But I was so rigid in those structures. It was very like, it has to be this way, and it has to be this way, and it has to be this way, and there's nothing else. This is very black and white. And then I went to the opposite extreme and had no, just like, okay, I'm gonna go that way. I don't know what's there. I don't know why we're doing it. I'm just going. And now I'm coming to a place where I feel like I'm blending the two. And I'm creating a sort of loose structure, an idea of how I want the year to feel. And I have very specific things that I want to do at different times of the year. So I'm
Hmm.
plugging those in, but the rest of it, I don't know how it's going to look, and I'm open to whatever whatever the energy calls
Yeah,
for.
you gotta leave a little room for that Uranus energy, the unexpected shifts and changes. You gotta make room for the wind.
Yeah.
And uh, I was just gonna say that I kind of feel like when I was a kid, or a kid, yeah, pretty much, when I was younger, had this whole, the opposite of like just going wherever the wind blowed kind of thing. Like I was a bag floating in the wind. And then, which doesn't, I mean, I've gone to some pretty excited and interesting places because of that, but also some not very great places, and also found myself being like, why am I here? Like ending up like just like questioning like how the fuck did I get here? uh so and then I know you know this from driving with me. I don't if I won't put the address in, or if no one tells me where I'm going, I'm just like, okay, I'm
I'm gonna
driving and
go.
I'm gonna pick a direction. And again, I've gotten to some really interesting places because of that, but then also been really annoyed because of the amount of times I had to turn around or
Yes, yes, I've definitely been in the car and those going like, wait, what? Okay.
Hannah, you're supposed to turn there. Oh, oops, okay. You just turn around. Um, which is fine because I've built a lot of resilience towards unexpected shifts and
Yeah,
kind of the
you.
inconveniences that come with that, and like learning to have patience for that. And at the same time, I actually really like making plans, and I've always really liked making plans or protocols or whatever, but never actually acting on them. So it would just be like a pastime of like, let me just sit down and create this whole little world, and then I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna go do something random, and I'm just gonna leave this here, and I can't do it because if I touch it, I'll ruin it, you know, kind of thing. So it's like it has to stay this like perfect little thing. Now I'm learning how to like breathe life and energy into that plan and let it change and let it be a co-creation rather than just like this reminds me of sharing a room with my brother when I
Mm.
was growing up. And when it was time to clean our room, I used to get so mad at him because I was like, "Get out. You cannot touch anything." Or I would be like, "You clean up first and then leave. And then I will come in and I'll finish it up and I'll make it look exactly how I want to. And if you touch anything of mine, then I know that that I'm the last one to touch it, so I'll make it all look how I want it to look." And then he would just, I remember being so triggered when he would be in the room. I'd be like, "Go away! I need this to look this way. Do not touch my things." And that kind of feels like the plan that I've created. Like I can't touch it. I can't have anybody else look at it. I can't like I just need it to be this perfect thing that looks very particular. But then I don't do anything with it except for look at it and go, "Oh, that looks nice. Oh, that'd be nice if I did that." But I'm not going to because then I'm gonna ruin it. So it's like learning how to cooperate and co-regulate and co-create with the world around me
Mm.
and find the beauty in that co-creation and when there's a mess and when we go outside the line and when, you know, things get put like being okay with someone putting something somewhere in a specific position and like letting them do that and not needing to go fix it immediately. Um,
Yeah, I can remember when we used to set up tables for different events, and we'd have all these different elements, and I would start putting them on the table, and you would come up behind me and be like, Mom, no. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna walk away from here because you're gonna make it the way that you want it, and it doesn't matter what I say. So go for it.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have an eye for beauty, and it's very specific. Like,
Yes, it is.
it's funny because I did that with Jamal as well. he's had a couple tables, and I've had to like walk away because I'm just like, it's Jamal's table, Hannah. Like you don't need to make it look any type of way, because he'll like set something up, and it's like very like in a straight line, and I'm like, like you gotta tilt that a little bit, have it at a certain angle, and then you gotta put little elements in. So I was just like, nope, you do your thing. And then what I actually found is that it's the process that I have a problem with, because like I see the vision, right? So I want it to look that way. I know it's gonna look that way when I'm done with it. But I can't trust that in somebody else because I don't know what their process looks like. So I have to
Or their
accept the fact,
vision.
or their vision, so I have to accept the fact that their process looks a specific way, looks different than mine. And by the time he was done with the table, I was like, oh, that actually looks nice. So I was like, but in the middle of it, I was like, why would you put that there? Oh my God. That looks terrible like that. So learning to accept the process and that it's messy.
Hmm. That seems like we got a far distance from where we started, but
It fits.
it'll, yeah.
I think because of the new year is usually, it's the energy of like, I'm gonna start or I have a resolution for this year, or this is my thing, this is my intention, or whatever. And then people act on it, and then they don't get the result that they were looking for, or they can't stick with it, or whatever, because they weren't ready to, it wasn't ready to come out yet. Still had some gestation. There was a little bit more of a process to go. So, we're in the winter, we're in the process.
Yes, we are. I definitely feel that liminal space. And for me, it's very much in the in between because I can feel the energy of one phase of my life, and I've been feeling it for the last 5 years that something was coming to an end. And through this process over these 5 years, living in the Midwest, it's been like shedding. And I know we've been in the year of the snake this year, but for the last 5 years feels like shedding for me. Feels like all the old stuff, all the old stories, all the conditioning, all the things that haven't been mine to carry have slowly been falling away. Yes, Ma is very active this morning, aren't you? Um, and over the since coming back from Peru, um, I have been in the energy of grief, of really letting go.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ah! Sorry. Um,
Yeah, letting go.
letting letting go of all of it, all of my old, you know, identities and ways that I perceived myself and perceived others and what people and things meant. And it's all been shifting, all been kind of reorganizing itself. And so we got back in November, and now it is January 14th. So it's been 2.5 months, and I can really feel the end of my time here.
Mhm.
It's like becoming very clear to me that there is nothing left for me to do here, and it is time for me to move on.
Mhm.
But right now, that's a completely blank canvas, and the possibilities are kind of overwhelming.
Mhm.
But I can also see, and so sitting in that, that's the place where our nervous system gets really activated and we want to shut down and go into distraction,
Mhm.
with whatever that looks like for us, you know. Um, and instead of doing that, because that would, I'm a Pisces, I love to escape, get me out of, my little fish is always aware of what's going on and when we need to make an exit. Anyway, instead of doing that, I have been sitting in the energy and just feeling it and allowing it to, you know, speak to me in all the different ways through my body, through my emotions, through the the thoughts that keep arising. Um, and and the mantra or the thing that I keep coming back to is that I'm always safe, I'm always protected, and I always have everything that I need.
Mhm.
And I can see that very clearly in my life. And I've also been looking at like support and abundance and what that really looks like. And I heard the other day somebody say on something I was listening to that abundance doesn't mean having a large number in your bank account or having, a large number of things or, having a lot of stuff. Abundance is truly having what you need when you need it.
Mhm.
And when I look at my life, I can see how abundant it truly is and how supported I am by my community, by my friends, and the Mother Earth, um,
And yourself,
and myself.
because
Yes.
you're sitting with yourself through the
Hmm.
feelings and yeah.
Yeah, I'm no longer abandoning myself in these situations and, trying to disappear and get out of it. I'm instead just, yeah, holding the space for it and recognizing that safety within myself that I can do this without completely losing my mind. It's
Yeah,
it's pretty much gone, but
it's okay. It wasn't yours anyways.
true.
Sometimes you just gotta. It doesn't make sense. But how,
Well, no, because it's like a puzzle. If you only have one piece of the puzzle, you can't really tell what the picture is. It's
Mhm.
only when you place it into the the picture, when you find the spot that it belongs, that it starts to become clear how that looks and why it was that piece was necessary for that space.
Right. I just got this funny visual of, of sitting with this is what I feel like sometimes like I've done or maybe people do in their life. They look at a puzzle piece and then they try to figure out what the puzzle that one puzzle piece they're like analyzing the fuck out of this one puzzle piece, trying to figure out what the picture is going to be. But then they do don't move. Like they get stuck looking at the puzzle piece, measuring all the angles, looking at the pictures, the shading, and the whatever. Um, and you don't find clarity until you start moving. Like it doesn't come together until you keep going. So
Hmm.
you have to keep putting the pieces together.
Right.
And sometimes the image doesn't become clear for a while, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I've worked on puzzles that for half of the puzzle, I'm just like, I don't understand how these fit. I don't understand what this is. Yes, I can see the picture from the box,
Right.
but looking at it, it doesn't make sense where these pieces fit.
Mhm.
And that's the time where you just sit with them.
Well, and then isn't that interesting too? Because it's like maybe we do have a vision of what we want our life to look like, and that's the picture on the box. But getting there is a different story.
Right. It's not a linear path. It's
It's
not.
not very clear.
Mm-mm.
And you can start anywhere. That's up to you. Where do you want to start
Right.
on the puzzle?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, life is definitely a puzzle. And we have to keep going. And that's what I've been learning in 2025 is messy inspired action. And that kind of goes with the thing I was talking about with the planning. It's like getting stuck in it having to look a particular way before I move. And it's like, no, the movement is going to help me create something dynamic and beautiful as I move, not like having to have it perfect before I go anywhere. Like, that's not, then I won't go anywhere. I'll just stay picking it apart.
Well,
So,
and how do you know when something is perfect if you've never done it before?
well, and that's the thing too, is that like whatever you're creating is like, has to have its own life. And you kind of stifle that by picking it apart. And
And I think you've talked about this before, like in your process of creating art, you have a vision for what you want to create, and then you start putting it on the canvas, and maybe it doesn't quite look like you wanted it to, and your initial instinct is to scratch it, just paint over it, and not do that.
hmm
But and I'll let you speak to that, when you keep going, what happens?
well, it ends up being way cooler than I ever thought it could be. And it started obviously with the vision, so I had an idea of what it was going to look like. But yeah, it doesn't ever turn out that way, and it doesn't ever look like what I think it's going to. And if I get caught up in it having to look exactly the way that I thought it was going to, then I won't finish it. But
Hmm.
usually by the time I'm done with it, I look at it and I go, "Wow, I did that!" Like it because it wasn't me. Like it was something that had like I saw something and I knew that I needed to like create that. So it moved through me.
Hmm.
And that's I feel like kind of life in general, like when we're living life where things are moving through us, they're not actually what is original.
Hmm.
Like nothing's actually ours.
No. So, as you start this Gregorian year, I know that your actual new year isn't going to start until later this year, but what is it that you're visioning for this year?
Um, I am envisioning, I mean, just a lot more action. And my moon progressed into Aries. And so it's kind of just like this. I feel that energy because it happened late last year, but I feel it coming on more, like the buildup of it, which is interesting because a lot of the collective planets are moving into the fire and the air. So I feel the movement,
Hmm.
and see that reflected in my own life of where like I'm just like I don't really want to sit and think about the way it has to look very much. Like it's okay, I can write down and be clear about what it is, where I'm going, what I want. And finding that's like the most important thing is finding the clarity in the content. Like, okay, what's the point that I'm trying to get across? You know? This is the point of what I'm doing. Okay, and then the way that shows up, not up to me.
Hmm.
I just move towards that and not getting caught up in the way it has to look, just letting it, just having the clarity of the the thing and moving forward with it, and then letting it build itself, trusting the process.
Hmm. Sounds a lot like the energy of the fire horse
Hmm.
for the Chinese New Year, which is happening. I can't remember. I
It's
know
like
that,
February 17th is
yeah, February
this
5th
lunar.
and February 17th are two dates that keep coming up in
The
terms of that.
6th, I think the 6th is the solar, this Chinese solar New Year, and then the 17th is the lunar.
Okay. Yeah, so we have about a month before that all shifts. And it really feels like that planning energy of um, setting the container, setting the tone for the year. And then once those, what I'm seeing is like stable doors opening and this horse on fire just flying out.
Hmm. Well, and
And
it's funny because it's like, is that not the Capricorn energy? If you think in, looking at the axis of Capricorn and Cancer, Capricorn being the home and Cancer being the family. So Capricorn just provides the structure, it's just the walls. And the Cancer brings the life into the walls. So it breathes life into the container. And that's where the home actually is in the people being in the walls. It's not really, you know? So it's like
yeah,
we're in the walls, we're creating the walls, we're creating the blueprints for what it looks like. And then come springtime, we get to breathe life into the walls, and then the story starts to unfold.
yes. And so, in terms of this podcast, we have been talking about different ideas that we want to do for the podcast and different speakers. So we're not going to share those details right now, but if you stay tuned, I think we're going to have some really good, juicy content this year and some great guests.
Yeah. I think focusing more on the collaborative efforts and bringing people together and sharing, bringing people together that we see, living more of that embodied, cyclical way.
Grounded in the earth and living in harmony. Yeah.
Yeah. Being more intentional with how they live their lives, and bringing them on, and talking to them about what it is that they do and how they live that and embody that. And
So, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to sitting with you and yeah, moving forward in this fire horse energy.
yeah.